Well, yeah, let's play it. So yesterday, Peterlin and Nick, which I did say the thing. I was like, oh, I was listening to your thing. And for a second, I like, he don't believe me. And I had to bring up how I agreed with him that I'm glad that Harbaugh has made his decision already. It's like, all right, we can move on from the dream stuff and we can go on and get to the real nitty gritty of everything. I totally agree with Jonathan's take about that yesterday around 2:30. But here's Emory Hunt yesterday, ESPN, correct? We've had Emory on before. Emory on Nick and Jonathan yesterday, where I think Lima drew some iron, so did some of the other fans. Here we go.
The fact that they nailed the draft picks on top of getting some undrafted free agents, and you look at, a quarterback in Shedeur Sanders, that's the big elephant in the room. I think that's why people are being disingenuous about the Browns, because they're being disingenuous about their evaluation of Shedeur Sanders. You include him in that draft class. This guy got 7 weeks of first-team reps, and in those 7 weeks, with a worse-off roster than the guys that started the season with, they went 3-4. So imagine if he had gotten the entire offseason and started from week 1, maybe the Browns already would be a 9-win team, and we're talking about 2026, the potential opportunity for them to go really far in the playoffs. So I look at it from a glass half full perspective. I'm not disingenuous about Shedeur Sanders, nor this draft class, nor the talent on his roster. This is a team that can win a lot of games in 2026 if they start to stockpile the offense like they did this year with the defense.
By the way, I missaid it. CBS Sports HQ, I beg your pardon. That's Emory Hunt from CBS Sports HQ on Afternoon Drive with Nick and Jonathan. What if Shedeur would have started all year? It's one of the big what ifs out there. Because I still stand and I think that this is part of what cost Kevin his job, and we'll know more as time goes on. So these are working theories. Like the stuff about Deshaun, I'm pretty solid on all that years ago. But this is still, we got to get through the fog here. Had he had a training camp of any reputation, does he start earlier? Possibly. Does some of the stuff pre-draft, if he's taken third round? There's so many things where I'm going, if he would have played earlier, would he have been able to keep his job? Kevin, if Shedeur would have played earlier, would he have been able to keep his job? Would we even say, like the
also,
whole thing, this would have been a better job? It's like, well, if they would have won 9 games, Kevin ain't going anywhere.
Would he have been benched? Because they would have been bad, and they were going to be bad regardless. Guys, every quarterback they used this year, whether it was Joe Flacco, whether it was Kenny Pickett, whether it was Dylan Gabriel, the numbers were bad every stretch. The funny thing was, it got worse. It got worse. People say it couldn't get worse after Flacco, and then it got worse. It couldn't get worse after Dylan Gabriel, and then it got worse. Yes, they won games at the end of the year, but they were playing the easiest part of their schedule when it came to like the defenses they went up against. They did win games at the end of the year, but their defense was like all-time dominant during that stretch. It had nothing to do with their offense. Their offense was not the reason they won those games. And in fact, they lost to Tennessee, which was one of the worst teams in football.
Would he have been better in those spots had he played earlier?
I got to say, I didn't really see this is where we'll probably disagree. Well, I don't think he really got better at a bunch of things. I know that was a narrative that was out there, but I didn't see any numbers that actually backed that up that he got better.
I'm one of the people with the narrative. 216-474-0092. All right, let's get in our corners and we'll debate this. What if Shedeur would have been able to start all year? What if he would have started a lot sooner? Because I think there's a lot of tentacles to it, and I do want to fight you on what he got better at and what we think he got better at. Emory Hunt, yesterday afternoon, CBS Sports HQ, football guy, talked about another football guy, and Shedeur Sanders hit it.
The fact that they nailed the draft picks on top of getting some undrafted free agents, and you look at, a quarterback in Shedeur Sanders, that's the big elephant in the room. I think that's why people are being disingenuous about the Browns, because they're being disingenuous about their evaluation of Shedeur Sanders. You include him in that draft class. This guy got 7 weeks of first-team reps, and in those 7 weeks, with a worse-off roster than the guys that started the season with, they went 3-4. So imagine if he had gotten the entire offseason and started from week 1, maybe the Browns already would be a 9-win team, and we're talking about 2026, the potential opportunity for them to go really far in the playoffs. So I look at it from a glass half full perspective. I'm not disingenuous about Shedeur Sanders, nor this draft class, nor the talent on his roster. This is a team that can win a lot of games in 2026 if they start to stockpile the offense like they did this year with the defense.
You can hear that entire interview, 923thefan.com. Would anything be different had he played earlier? 216-474-0092. Are we looking for head coaches had he played earlier? Are we looking for head coaches if he had a different style, or if they would have handled things differently in the training camp, off season, those things? Would things be any different? It's hard for me to say yes. But I also think I can only go by what they've done. If you give me a minute to explain myself, this is why I want to say yes. I do think he got better at certain things as the season went on. I still think he's a project. And if you can find yourself a franchise quarterback, yeah, you're going to do it. Problem is that I don't think you can really find yourself a franchise quarterback. So now I think that you have a situation where, yeah, he's going to end up playing for you in 2026. And I'm certainly, obviously, not upset by that whatsoever. I think he got better with feet. I think he got better with vision, which usually those things are 2 and 2 because your feet take your eyes. I think he got a better grip of the offense. I think he got a better grip with trying to lead his teammates on offense. Even though, hey, offensive line wasn't good. He had struggles at times. I mean, falling backwards and some of the other things. The game against Cincinnati, I think over time, and I'm going to paint you out to be a villain here, over time, you're going to have to remind me of the game against Cincinnati. I'm just going to tell you right now because I can see where I'm going to go with it. As I think he's the most realistic option to start. I will not want to remember the game against Cincinnati. I guarantee it. So I think he got better at those things. And then I'm not trying to rip on the guy, man, but he outperformed your third-round pick, and I'm thinking, why did we do all this with this third-round choice? I'm not trying to be mean. I don't hate the guy. I know that some people, because of the discourse, that some people have been defensive of him. I'm just letting you guys know, like, okay, yeah, you could have still taken Shedeur in the 5th round, but he clearly, to me, and I know the stats say different, I think that anybody who watched the games, I think he outperformed Dillon Gabriel. And I'm thinking, hey, man, even if he's playing like a later round pick, what were you doing in the 3rd round with the other guy? And so that sticks with me, Anthony. I'm sorry.
On any of those nifty charts that get produced, they're both like dead last.
I understand.
There was not.
I understand.
Statistically, there wasn't really a gap between the two. We just saw one throw the ball down the field and actually complete some passes down the field. We didn't see that, obviously.
And that's
with
honestly
Gabriel.
my bar is not high. That's kind of what I was like.
Now,
can anybody test anybody downfield? Dillon didn't do that.
Now, there were way more bad sacks with Shedeur. There were way more interceptable, turnover-worthy plays.
There were.
In fact, Shedeur had the most in the league last year. The most off-target, interceptable-worthy plays. So they actually got lucky in a lot of the games that Shedeur was throwing the football.
I think I can explain that, but
it's hard for me because the Cincinnati game. I mean, Cincinnati, one of the worst defenses statistically in the league, and he just couldn't move the football. He just couldn't do anything. And it's a Week 18 game. I saw Riley Leonard moving the football against Houston and a lot of their starters, and we just never saw that with Shedeur. We would see like 1 or 2 drives a game. And fortunately, for the last drive of the game where he moved the ball 40 yards, that was a good. I put that in the, hey, that's a pro.
But I'm going to tell you right now,
he was able to be kind of unflappable.
I understand Riley Leonard looked better. I would take Riley Leonard's offensive line and Riley Leonard's weapons over the weapons that I was giving Shedeur Sanders. Going back to Dillon Gabriel, I was excited because one guy seemed to be able to test the secondary whatsoever. And I think part of that was old habits. I think that that's a guy who had to push the football with the weapons he had when he was at Colorado. And then when you really don't get a chance to do a lot of work, because you got to get ready for a season. When you don't get a chance to do a lot of work as a football team with him, that's some of the things that you're going to go back to. That's some of the habits you're going to go back to. And if that sounds like a giant excuse for everybody, fine. But this is where we're at right now with this football team and with him.
I had to take issue with we had a back and forth. And he's been on the show. I think he's a great guest. That was a engaging interview yesterday. I just couldn't believe the pity party that was being thrown for Shedeur again. I'm like, we're still talking about preseason reps. Like, they're not doing that in New Orleans with Shook. They're not doing that with Jackson Dart.
I disagree with you.
The Giants.
I disagree with you.
This cattle cry of, oh my God, he didn't get an opportunity. It's like, dude, Shedeur got an amazing opportunity. He got to start a bunch of games as a fifth-round pick in the NFL, something you just don't get. You don't think Riley Leonard? They went and got Phillip Rivers to come start games. So where is the Riley Leonard fan base going, our guy didn't get enough reps, and why did they waste our time with Phillip Rivers? You just don't hear that because it's the NFL. It's life in the big city. Like at some point, you have to start acting like a professional. You have to, and I'm not saying that Shedeur was fine. His camp is obviously
here we go with Tone again.
But, the question is, like, some people say, I've seen people say that, well, the camp is putting out the messaging Shedeur wants them to put out because they're employed by Shedeur. So I don't know. I haven't seen him say anything. But it's obviously all the people around him that surround him all the time make all these excuses, and then it cascades to all the fans and the cult that follows him on a daily basis.
But I don't think that they're excuses.
And
this is my problem.
Are. By the way, the offensive line for the Browns in pass protection was graded out higher during Shedeur's run than the other quarterbacks. So it didn't matter that you don't know who the guys are. They actually, and by the way, that matched the eye test. I kept saying, like, man, Shedeur has more time to throw than I thought the other guys did. Like and you even agreed with me in some of those games. And then it turns out, too, maybe it wasn't the offensive line was better. It was they were going up against weaker defensive lines, which was true.
Listen, these are not excuses. What he says about some of the things that are there, like the disingenuous stuff, I think that he's fighting other media members that are sitting there wondering about what he is. I get that. And I think that there is some – I think that people are a little bit tired, including myself, which I've defended, Kevin, of some of the back and forth about the head coach, okay? But this is where it is.
Oh, you didn't think he was sabotaging Shedeur?
No, I do not think he was sabotaging Shedeur.
You didn't think, by the way, one of the stories I saw yesterday that we were tagged in by a bunch of people, it was like, is this true? And it was that the Browns hired those thieves to come in and disrupt Shedeur and steal his stuff. Like, this is what you morons are putting out there. You weirdos in the cult are putting that stuff out there, and then we're being asked about whether or not it's true. Like,
I didn't see that.
62 quarterbacks started this year. I saw one pity party. 61 other fan bases of quarterbacks were like, it's tough league. I mean, not everybody gets thrown into a great situation.
Well, now
One out of 62 acted as immature as his fan base and putting out those kind of crazy conspiracy theories.
Well, okay.
Maybe you guys should look around and go, why are the other 61 quarterbacks and their fan bases, why are they secure and we're the most insecure fan base of all the 62 quarterbacks that started this year?
You're going to send me down a rabbit hole here during the break that I can't go down right now because I did not see any of that. I'm sorry. I swear to God. And I know Jason Whitlock will call me the chubby guy on the right and say I'm scared to death. Guys, I did not see any of that, but that's absolutely ridiculous. If what you're saying is true, that they're saying that's absolutely ridiculous. Let me go back to
anything they say would be believable, Kevin, because they've done it. They've said the craziest stuff, from calling Kevin a racist to calling Andrew Barry an Uncle Tom.
Well, I'm not.
You guys are weird.
Hold on.
Just admit that you guys are weird.
Well, who are you yelling at 6:33 on a Friday morning?
Everybody on YouTube. Look at them.
I'm not seeing them on YouTube right now. I'm talking to you. I got the computer off. Sorry, I moved the camera.
Oh boy.
All right, let me get to this. Riley Leonard. You mentioned Riley Leonard. I saw what he did at Duke, and then I saw what he did at Notre Dame. I saw what Shedeur Sanders had to do at Jackson State in Colorado. You mentioned Jackson Dart. We've talked about Jackson Dart ad nauseum. We've talked about Tyler Shook ad nauseum. But these were guys that they went and made investment, with the exception of Riley Leonard. I'll grant you Riley Leonard. That you weren't asked to do a whole lot if you were Riley Leonard. But if you go to the other two guys you're comparing him with, there's no comparison. You took a guy at 25 overall if you're the Giants. You took the other guy in the second round, if I'm not mistaken, with Tyler Shook. Of course you're going to give those guys reps. The one had Russell Wilson in front of him. Please, you might as well put a dead body in front
Shedeur
of him.
Was
and
lucky.
the other one had Spencer Rattler in front of him.
Shedeur's living a blessed life that he got that opportunity.
You were going to get reps. The other one, and this is why Kevin's out looking for work right now, apparently, is because you put Dylan Gabriel in there, and for whatever reason, they had faith in Dylan Gabriel. And you had two older quarterbacks there, so you had four quarterbacks. Without a doubt, anybody had seen during the season that the fifth-round pick you were better off with than the third-round pick. So what you did in the offseason sets you in motion for what you've done now. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you're saying about any cult. You know it's true. If you're talking about people being disingenuous, you're being disingenuous about it.
I don't think that way, Kenny, obviously, because I'm the one that...
What do you mean you don't think that way?
Because I'm the one that authored up these amazing points that I didn't hear you refute. But I also got to say...
I just refuted them on the...
Shedeur is living a blessed life. He was 4th string on the depth chart. He was passed up how many times over by the NFL, and he still got all these games to start, and yet all I hear from his fan base are, he wasn't given a fair chance.
Forget the fan base. You're talking to me.
That's who I'm talking. No, I'm talking to Emory Hunt. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to all these people in his camp that can't get it through their heads that you're not given some guaranteed starting job in this league. Like, you have to earn. If anything, I don't even know if he earned it. It's like they traded Joe Flacco because there was an offer, and the guy ahead of him got a concussion.
I don't know.
Or we wouldn't even have seen him that much. So you know what? Maybe you should count your blessings. You guys all #blessed. Count your blessings.
Again,
you're fortunate you even got this opportunity.
It's Kenny. I'm here in front of you. It's me. I'm arguing with you. I'm not arguing with anybody else. You're having this fictitious argument with all these other people that aren't even here right now.
Are you not seeing what they say?
Argue with me.
Have you not taken the phone calls?
You're doing a show with me.
But do you not hear these? These aren't the points.
216-474-0092. I'll open it up on a cold winter's day on a Friday.
They just had Emory Hunt on yesterday, and these were all points that he made.
I understand that, and we played that to set sail with this because I think you're wrong. I've used these examples. You have not refuted them. All you have done is argue with people on the internet under fake names, under people on YouTube, and God knows what else.
He kept using the term. This is a real person. Emory Hunt is a real person. You can look up his credentials. He was on the air yesterday. We played his cut twice. That's who I'm responding to. He said insanity. That's what he was saying.
You've only said Emory Hunt a couple times. You've been talking about cults and God knows what else.
Yeah, these are the things that he said. That's what I'm responding to.
216-474-0092. Is Lima right? Are there any excuses? Excuses is such a terrible word. I think that these are reasons. Because I only can go by evidence. And what did I see with evidence? If anything, we're talking about another guy where maybe they set him up wrong, and Dylan Gabriel, for crying out loud, drafting him in the first place in the third round.
His numbers were worse than DTRs. Let that sink in for a second. We're just talking sports. It's fun. Just two guys at the end of a bar having a beverage.
I think if people saw us yelling at each other at the end of a bar, they'd be like,
oh boy,
calling security.
They call it Galax. Bust up another one.
216-474-0092. There are people who agree with you on it.
I was asked this. It's funny, this argument that we just got into, there was no shortage of people yesterday at the CSU game. Like, but what do you guys really think?
Well, that's the weird
Shedeur?
thing about it. I say everything I mean about Shedeur on the air. I say everything. And I've been kind of, what bothers me about this so much is if I think he's going to be a franchise quarterback, I'll tell you he's a franchise quarterback. I've not said once that he's the franchise quarterback of the team.
You've been open to giving him a chance.
I'm open to giving him a chance because right now he's the best, most interesting thing that I have going for my football team in 2026 that I still don't think is going to be that good.
And I agree, by the way.
So
I know
what
it doesn't
the hell
sound
are we
like
always fighting about every single effing morning about this guy? Why?
The difference is, like, I'm sitting here going, all right, obviously they're not in position to take a quarterback. Like the Mendoza and Dante Moore is out of the equation now, and you and I are both kind of in the same boat.
Like if they were number
Simpson.
1 overall or anything like that, or they were number 2 or 3 or whatever with a team that was looking to trade, let's talk turkey. But you're with a team, it's impossible. So I'm not even gonna dignify the conversations in so many ways.
I'm with. I mean, there's a conversation to be had. Like if Ty Simpson falls in the second round or the third round, like would you do this again? I'm with you. We can't do this again. We just did it with Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur. So I'm with you there. I just think he just has to compete for it. I'm not gifting him the job and just saying it's because he didn't get opportunities last year. Like, this is the NFL. You're lucky to get what you get.
I am still convinced, as much as I'm arguing with you on this, because I do. I think that some of you guys are being absolutely ridiculous. You can't compare a first-rounder and the second-rounder to where he was at. Why I'm so cross about it is because I feel that we wasted training camp in a season that they still won 5 games, that they really should have won 3 games. We wasted training camp time with a guy that should not have been taken in the 3rd round.
Which we both agreed on.
That's my issue. So we agree on that.
We don't even, guys, don't even bring up Dylan Gabriel.
That's why I'm upset. It's not about fairness or not, because I know that the NFL isn't fair. The NFL is not fair. Because they could go in the next season if they still have the same 3 quarterbacks. I think Deshaun Watson, if he goes out there and he's gangbusters, they're going to go, Yeah, he ain't part of the future. Let's go see what 12 has again. So that's not being fair. But I'm just looking at it for what it is. So I went through an entire preseason. I don't care about any of those stats. You know, I think those stats that people keep are stupid about it because we don't even know the situations that we're put in. So I'm just going to tell some of the new people we have listening now. I was saying that during training camp. But it was absolutely patently ridiculous to see a guy that they took in the 3rd round not try to push the ball down the field, afraid to throw the football, pull his eyes down and run. And we're over here bickering about Shedeur Sanders because one guy is more popular than the other guy. Because I just look at the 3rd round and I go, man, we could have got ourselves another lineman. We could have got ourselves any other bit of help. We could have got another, 3rd round wide receivers aren't necessarily Andrew's forte. But either way, and it's turned into this great big argument here. But damn it, like, I get painted into this corner, and I said it on Monday. If you guys want to call them a cult, call them a cult. I know that they're fans. I'm not going to deny what I think is the truth. And what I think is the truth is that I think he's the guy, as of right now, who starts this season for the Cleveland Browns. I also know that depending on how all these things go, is that I think that Mac Jones is in the conversation. I think Malik Willis is in the conversation. Dare I say, I think that in some way after this season, depending on what the Falcons want to do with their new guy, I think Kirk Cousins could be in the conversation, even though, boy, I saw him stuck in mud. I think that some of these other guys, again, the only two that I just don't want any part of is I really don't want to have any bit of Deshaun Watson because I don't want him playing to some modicum of success and then tricking us.
And then doing this all over again?
Yeah, I don't want that to happen. And Tua and Kyler are non-starters to me. I told you yesterday, and I know that you were getting texts from home. Kyler, I'd rather slam my head in a car door than have him start the season for us. And Tua, I can't even say what I do to myself on the radio because it involves mutilation of what I'd rather do when it comes to Tua Tagovailoa playing for my football team. So there you go.
Well,
I'd rather have the guy that we sit here and bicker and argue about.
I would too.
That would honestly, let's be honest, if you had the number 1 pick, they'd replace him like that.
Yeah, and the thing is,
I understand that. I know that going in. Can we be honest with each other?
I don't think people can. I think people would.
Okay, fine.
I think people would shoot that down, even though Mendoza's had this amazing year and could win a national championship at Indiana. I'll repeat myself, Indiana. And he was the Heisman Trophy winner. And he's been perfect in the playoffs so far. Absolutely perfect. I've never seen anything like it. They still don't want him. But whatever. Doesn't matter. It's a moot point now. And you're right. Tua and Kyler. Like, Kyler had 7 years. Tua 6. Like, that's the difference. Like, those guys today are probably better than Shedeur Sanders right now.
Uh-huh.
But what more do you need to see out of those guys? Like, that's the difference. Now, Malik Willis, that's where it gets interesting because he started so few games. But, man, has he given – that's why he's going to make a lot of money based on very few games.
We'll see where that goes. 216-474-0092. Darian in Cleveland. You've been most patient. You're first up on the fan. Hello, Darian.
Hey, how you doing today?
We're doing wonderful. Go ahead.
First thing I want to say is Kevin Stefanski should have been fired well before this season. His offense is very mundane. He never tried. He was terrible. And yes,
I think he tried. His offense might have been mundane, but we're splitting hairs. Go ahead.
Shedeur Sanders does deserve to say that he didn't get the best because the offense, I don't care what nobody say, it's no offensive line that's rated high with Cam Robinson on it. He was terrible. Cam Robinson, I don't even know if he probably was out there with a lawn chair blocking because it was so many times defenders walked right past him. But overall, the reason why we want to see Shedeur over Dylan Gabriel or we want to see Shedeur over any other quarterback is because he consistently learned throughout the weeks that he was playing. If you give this kid a full year, you give him some time in the offseason earlier, that's the only reason why people are complaining because we see the growth that he constantly created. And so we're saying, dang, if we would have got that early on, where would he have been now? Where would his team have been? What are we even looking to keep trying to get a win for when we need to figure out who's our wide receiver, our best receiver is a tight end? What franchises win with that? And very mundane plays. When we were mismanaging the clock, I see all these stats about Kevin Stefanski did the best with timeouts. How many games did we lose early this year because of his mismanagement of the clock?
Well, Minnesota game.
Stats are terrible.
Yeah.
Stats are terrible.
Darian?
All of these pseudosciences, yes.
No, I was because I want to get one more in. Thank you for the call. When it comes to some of the other stuff, like I get defensive of Kevin in some ways, but you go from last year to this year, and I really do think it all boils down to how training camp went. If they wouldn't have taken Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, or they wouldn't have taken Shedeur in the 5th round, fine. But when you had that situation with 4 quarterbacks, and then I'm seeing somebody who I think clearly has a higher ceiling when we're still out there. It's not about whether or not, like, Dylan Gabriel can end up being a quarterback for the next 8-10 years as a backup. And maybe Shedeur will go out there and he'll fall all over himself this coming season, next season, and then he ends up in the UFL or something like that. I just see a guy who I'd rather give time to than the other one, because I'm going for the guy who might have the biggest ceiling, because I'm looking for a franchise guy. It's that simple.
I'm surprised Dylan's even coming up in our conversations, to be honest, because me and you are so dead set against him.
Because that's what I'm arguing about. It's not. I don't care about what they did in New Orleans. I don't care about what they did with the Giants. I think that those are different situations. I care about here. And I'm not trying to make Dylan Gabriel out to be the villain, even though it sounds like it. I don't want you guys to boo him when he hits the field, when he goes out there. I really don't. It's the situation that you're in.
Well, that's why I bring up
a complete waste of time.
If we want to
do, I did not feel that Shedeur was a waste of time.
That's why I don't understand the pity party by the people that bring all this stuff up with Shedeur. I'm like, man, Dylan Gabriel deserves the pity party too, but we're not giving it to him. Me and you are not giving it to him. He had terrible offensive line play. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers in his games. The lack of a running game. I think he had one game where Judkins went off, but he didn't really have that much of a running game. Offensive line was bad. He got booed anytime he was getting into the game. Like, people went after his girlfriend or his fiance or whatever it was. Like, and he didn't get his job. He lost his job with a concussion and never got it back. We didn't do a pity party for him, nor will I. I just listed those just to say that if he had a fan base at all, and maybe the only ones he has are really in Oregon and Hawaii, like, they would have every excuse in the book. The difference is I'm only hearing the excuses for one guy. I'm not hearing them for him.